Hello, this is National Chess Master Rats to continue my video series on the correspondence team match at chess.com between my video lessons group and the team CARPE DIEM. This was played on board 151. Our man is yamioscuro, mid 1600s versus mid 1500s. And let's have a look at the game. And we have the two knights defense. I have a video on the Hungarian which will avoid a lot of the complications of this opening, and it follows book for several moves. Very interesting is the Fritz line, B5. You guys can look that up on your own. Former world correspondence champion Hans Berliner preferred it. He won a famous game beating the world's leading authority Jakob Estrin in the third world correspondence championship final by refuting his Estrin's analysis. That game is famous. You can find it if you look for it. Berliner talked about it. He thinks that B5 is the better move because putting the knight on A5 puts it on the side of the board. It's got more scope in the middle. So, for what it's worth, if you're going to defend with the two knights defense, have a look at the Fritz on your own. Okay, so it follows theory. Black sacks a pawn, but he gets development. And I think this knight H3 move was a favorite of Bobby Fischer's, I think, but I don't know the line well enough. I do know that this is one of the lines to just rip that knight off and give white the double pawns. And here's where we depart theory. So again, I've talked about it in this series. If you're going to play a book line, you're going to have to look it up. You're going to have to look lines up and make sure you don't walk into something, or at least study the position. White is guilty of, I would suspect, moving too quick. He sees his rooks attacked, and I think the book move is castle. It's probably the only good move. White just misses black's other threat. So white saves his rook, and can you find the winning move for black? Pause the video. Okay, you're back. I hope you found it. It's a simple fork. Check. Boom. There goes the bishop. And, white gets a little bit of play. He's got 7 pawns for 5, 2 pawns for the piece, but he's got a set of double pawns. And now the queen's got to get out of there. Queen's under attack. And now black has an only move. And black promptly returns the favor that white did, so I guess black is guilty of playing too quick. The only move is to play queen b6, because what happens after queen d6, or any other safe queen move where the queen won't get captured, is queen takes a5, free piece. So now black has to try to win it all over again. Now black's actually down 2 pawns, but he does have one thing, better pawn structure. At least doesn't have any double pawns, and it's ahead in development. The black queen bishop hasn't even moved yet. So now it kind of becomes a little struggle as black attempts to win the game all over again, and he really has his work cut out for him. He gets 1 pawn back, and I think black has compensation for the pawn, but again, he has to start all over from scratch. Instead of being a clear piece up with a quick win, it all fell apart as he has to start work all over again. Now black's able to desperado his queen and picks up the exchange, or the quality as it's known in Europe. And now white only has 1 pawn compensation for the exchange. So theoretically, this is a winning game for black. Now, how do you win something like this? Well, objectively, what you do is you want to trade off the knights and one set and a rook, and then win the ending with rook versus bishop. That's one way to win it. The other way is to use all your pieces in harmony and just simply try to go pick up some pawns. Get some pawns, get a pass pawn, and get it running up the board. But both sides, their pawns aren't advanced. The position is open. This bishop could be a very good piece with an open board. Let's see what happens. Well, black makes weaknesses in his position. Okay, now black's going after pawns, but what are these rooks doing? This one's controlling an open file, but this one's not even in the game yet. But black has picked up a pawn, at least for now, And white's trying to get some counterplay going, and actually succeeds. Now, if this knight can get out of the way, white would be threatening a checkmate. So I guess black saw it fit to return the pawn now. Return one of the pawns now, so he can get his king out of danger. Black doesn't take, or white doesn't take it. Now he piles up on f6, and why white didn't go for that pawn, I don't know, but would have given him a better shot. And it's still a struggle. Black's at least achieved one objective. He's got a pass pawn, and now white's helping the black king get activated. But white immediately throws the game away with a blunder. He's probably going to lose this. At least this rook is active. It's pressuring this, but this pawn is going to get dangerous. But white blunders, activating his king, and suddenly he discovers his king doesn't have a flight square after this check, so he has to give up a bishop. Now it's just clearly over, and that pawn is going to queen, and there you have it. Let's just go back and examine bishop f6 for a moment, which the move he didn't play after black played f6. Let's see. What's wrong with just taking it? It gets you back to having one pawn compensation for the exchange. You're on the g4 pawn, and that pawn could become weak here in a hurry. For instance, if g4, we don't have rook g1, but knight g5, for what it's worth, threatens a mate. Knight takes, bishop takes. Now, how dangerous is this pawn? Maybe white's got some chances here because this rook is still out of play. I would rather play black than white here, but beggars can't be choosers. But I think white would have done a little better with this. Anyway, let's look at the other game and enter the PGN. And let's back it up, flip the board. Okay, so we have a King's Indian defense, and one drawback with pushing d5 is that it does activate this bishop, although if you keep the pawn on d4, it's possible black may take on d4 and that bishop will get active. It's one interesting thing about the c5 line. A lot of times when black plays for e5, that bishop gets shut in and never becomes any good for white or for black. Okay, now black's shipping white center. Why do I always mix black and white up? I just can't get away from it. I call white black, I call black white. I even stutter there trying to get it right because I call the colors the opposite of what they are. Okay, so just a little bit of maneuvering going on. Kind of looks like a Benoni now. Looks very much like a Benoni. And white accesses the c4 square. And white's got a clear advantage, but white messes up here. And black doesn't take advantage of it. The trick, which pawn, you have a pawn loose on d6, which knight to take with? Well, white picked the wrong knight. The correct knight to take with is the knight on b5, and we'll see why in just a moment. Because black misses a move here. Black misses a decent move. Okay, he plays his rook back to f8, totally oblivious to the fact that he can play bishop takes. And the point here is this uncovers an attack on this knight. Now white has two choices. Take the rook, take the bishop. Let's look what happens if you take the rook. Okay, well, we're going to take this guy. Now you're going to escape. Okay, now black has two minor pieces for the rook. This bishop will be, it's under a little bit of duress, but it's not something black should really worry about. Let's see. The bishop could escape to g4. No matter how you slice it, black has an extra piece. Black has 5 pieces, white has 4. 1, 2, 3, 7 pawns to 6. I like black here. That's if white takes the rook on e8. It doesn't have to take the rook on e8. Let's look at the other alternative. After bishop takes b5, just take the bishop. Now, nothing is protecting this pawn. So, black can just take it, I guess, with the knight. And this pawn is passed, but it's a target. Black's alive and kicking, I think. But anyway, he put the rook on f8, and now things just start going downhill for black. Bishop g5. And look at that pawn roller down the center. Woo. And white just finds ways to liquidate material. You know, just take this knight that was pinned. And okay, he'll trade. And then white just starts trading down here, and white's up a knight, and there's nothing black can do about it. Black obliges to trade queens. This helps white out. The knight's safe. He goes and collects another pawn. Black's active king isn't really doing him any good. And this helps white. Well, let's trade some more pieces. Now here, I don't know. I guess white has probably going to have to give back a pawn. I didn't understand b4. Unless you don't want the rook on the 7th rank. But let's see. Take on a6. He takes on b2. And it's white's move. By playing b4, now white can take on a6, and he does. Now black could play his rook to b2 again. It would be in the same position. So I guess it kind of transposes. Just seemed kind of odd that he went that way. It's not a move I would consider, but it's working out. There's nothing black can do to exploit it. Black's just down a piece, and even if black wins the pawn on d5, you know, it doesn't change the fact he's down a piece, and there's just nothing he can do about it. And white just starts gobbling pawns, and even if black takes the pawn on d5, he just doesn't have enough going here. But maybe we'll come back and look in a minute. I have an idea. I want to get through this, and then we'll back it up. Okay, now black hits his rooks doubled, but doesn't matter. That one of those rooks is coming off, and that pawn is unstoppable. And now it becomes a queen, and white's going to be up a knight, a rook, and a pawn if black elects to take. Now, let's back it up slightly. I thought I saw something, another idea for black to try here. Let's see, where was it? Was it here? No, it was after f4. Okay. Okay. What black could try here is, I don't know, maybe you can't try it. Rook takes knight here with a threat on the rook and a mate threat. I'm trying to see the fact that white's weakened his king position here. I was in the back of my head. I was looking at how can black try to exploit that. The only way to really exploit it is to get on the 7th rank. So let's go there. Okay, now I suppose this is coming, and that has a mate threat. That's gonna require black's immediate attention. Yeah, I guess there's just no way to get the rooks active unless it was sooner, maybe before f4. Let's see. Well, the files are closed here. Take. Okay, take. You know, black just doesn't have anything. Anyway, the play was reasonable. Just a few little blunders in there that and missed opportunities in the two games. I'd say that both players can hold their head high. They played well. You know, we didn't see some of the huge disasters as we've seen in some of the other games, but you know, it just comes down to taking your time in these games. And the fact that this match is just now reaching a 1 month. It started June 21st, and these games have been over. At least the second game ended up close to a week ago. That's how far behind I am. It's still pretty quick to be playing these games. It's just they're going very, very fast. So I thank you for your time. Take the time you took to look at this, and I'll be back with another video as soon as I can.